YouTube video log, I wish to address quite a sensitive subject of a pedagogical nature. That is to do with the educational system, especially in Western Europe. Now, you may or may not have heard of STEM. Now, you may be confusing it with stem cells or stem cell research. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math, or maths if you're in the United Kingdom. Now, there is something of a push when it comes to the demographic, the distribution of the sexes in these particular fields of academia. Of course, traditionally, though these fields aren't particularly old, traditionally these are areas that males would inhabit. Now, I'm going to pose the question, and I'm going to use this technology of the internet to look at videos regarding those who are proponents of the idea that actually it's rather unfair that girls are not in STEM fields. In fact, the number of people in STEM is very small, but the number of women in STEM is even smaller. So I will look into the opinions of popular proponents of this. Now I'm going to see if I can share screens, or if I can actually play a YouTube video here. Maybe I will. What I will do is I'll share the screen, and I will share the screen, and I will take my headphones out, and I apologize for the quality of the audio, and I'll switch to share screen, and we will watch a video together, and I'll pause at pertinent points, because I think this subject has to be addressed. I have sensed that there's great unfairness when women who are predominant in academic subjects, and in some cases are completely dominates the fields. In some fields, there's an even distribution of the sexes. How many of those sexes, I'm not at liberty to say. So I'm going to look at a collection of videos, and I may look at a collection of some videos that have dissenting points. Those bastards. Let's share screens, shall we? I hope that you'll be able to hear the very valid points in these videos.
Even in 2017, walk into any college math or engineering class in the country, and you will find far more male students than female. As Denver 70's Lisa Hidalgo shows us, women right here in Colorado are working to change those numbers every single school year.
I kind of knew from a young age I had that math and science background. Growing up, Ray Roselle never gave going into a technology-related field a second thought. I was pretty good at math, and my dad was an engineer. Now a professor of mechanical materials engineering at the University of Denver, Professor Roselle says she knows she had an advantage.
So it starts on a very good note. This young woman got into engineering and science because she was interested in it. Of course, she knew about engineering, technology, science, and mathematics. She was very privileged young woman because her father was an engineer. Now, were her father not an engineer, she may never have known about engineering because the social media, the media in general, it blankets women from the the manifestation of the existence of engineering, science, technology, and mathematics.
Not many other young girls have. A lot of girls are never even exposed to this information. They don't even know what an engineer does. I didn't know what computer science was until I came to college. I have always been good at math, not so at science, but I never wanted to become an engineer. Math.
So there are women who don't know about that computers are created with science. That's terrible. A terrible flaw in the educational system, that they don't realize that the computers are created with science. They don't know what computer science is.
For me, it was kind of just a hard subject. I talked to 3 current DU students. Each is studying in the STEM field. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. No matter which field you look at, these women say they are outnumbered by men. So during undergrad, there was 9 girls total in my class, and there was 50 students total when we graduated. Right now, here at DU, in the engineering classes, it's about 20% women to 80% men. In an ideal world, it would be 50-50. So as a female in these classes, how do you feel? Except for the situations where I'm the only girl in a CS class or in a team at the office.
I should maybe put my 2 pennies worth here. She said this is some local news network. The TV presenter said that in an ideal world, academic subjects would be 50-50. How would you implement this? And the funny thing is that in many academic subjects, women outnumber men. So if her ruling is, if this could be implemented, now that means that female students should be expelled from their places, and they should have, unless they can have 50-50, they shouldn't run the course. So you have 5, but how would you do this? This is where maybe mathematics and science can play a part. What would you do if you had 5 applicants to an academic subject? How on earth would you have 50-50? Well, of course, you would have to disallow one of the students from entering, which I think is very important. You have to have 50-50, right?
I don't face any issues just because I'm a girl. Being one of the few does have its advantages. So it's just kind of cool because it helps me know a lot of people in general, because I do stick out because I am a girl. More schools are focusing on STEM education starting at the
So the first statement, a statement by the presenter, in an ideal world, there would be 50 in these STEM fields, it would be 50-50. And the statements by those who are in these subjects is that they enjoy being the minority. That is very broad. Actually, I'm still not speaking jest. It's quite broad journalism here. They actually like the fact they are the token girls in class. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm certain there are the odd boys who like being the sort of the special people in a class full of women. Though actually, they probably don't, in my experience.
Elementary school level. Lexi is doing her part to get more girls interested in STEM by telling them about what she does at college. I tell them that computer science is a thing. I can code games. I can make really cool things just by typing something into my laptop. What do you say to all the little girls that may be watching this story in the future? What do you say to them? If you're interested in math and science, just do it. Don't let anything hold you back.
Very interesting.
Well, this is the thing. Right. I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back to visual. That means I'm going to stop sharing this screen. I will, of course, play a few other videos on this very important subject. I think that actually that was quite food for thought. Whereas the Google Hangout, see, the lack of technological understanding. I'm having to struggle to find the I had to struggle to find the particular tab that had the Google Hangouts Google Hangout screen. Now, the last statement was very interesting. This woman of Southeast Asian descent, of course, Southeast Asians, the Chinese and the Japanese in these Western countries, are very astute work ethic. And so this girl says she aims to introduce girls to what computers can do and what it means to work in computer science. The girl who actually said she didn't actually know what computer science was until she found out what it was. Now, the interesting thing is that, of course, it is not. Of course, boys naturally are exposed to ideas and, we can say, disciplines such as programming, and they will naturally be interested in it. Now, this person, what I say, is at least slightly above level. Her intelligence level is maybe above average. She's going to show people that you can actually use your computer to make programs, which all people know they can do. Most people know you can use a computer to create programs. Of course, knowing that you can use a computer to create programs and you'll expose these girls to it means that they will actually use a computer to become programmers. Now, let's be honest here. This is nonsense. Firstly, I don't care. I don't care if there are subjects that are completely dominated by either sex. It makes no difference to me. Secondly, the absurd notion that people, because of their gender, don't know that there is such a thing as engineering or computer science. When you are attaching this stigma, there's this desire in people to promote the fairer sex, so to speak. People tend, okay, there's something in defense of what they're saying. Okay, there's a sex that aren't inclined to get involved in engineering or science. The thing is, darling, that's what you're saying is a problem is actually not a problem at all. And actually, it's just a natural tendency, not just in women, in people in general. The average person, well, we speak globally, the average person doesn't own a computer. Let's say in the free West, the average person isn't interested in learning about engineering. The average person is, we can say, is interested in studying something they think is at their level. The best, let's think of the specialist engineers are at the highest point of in terms of IQ, everything else. Plus, have the rather unusual interest in engineering and or science, mathematics, technology. So the problem is that the minority of people who are involving themselves are interns when it comes to studying science, mathematics, engineering. They're studying STEM, right? So minority of people, the majority of minority are male in this area of academia. A minority are female. Let's look at the tendency from an economist's, let's say a social science stroke economist's point of view. Working practices. And I can also reflect on how these tendencies can cross over between the sexes. The argument is that many women may have the ability to study engineering and science, but ability doesn't mean proclivity, doesn't mean an interest in such. Was somebody encouraging me to study computer science? Have I had anybody encouraging me, speaking on behalf of my sex? Well, this small group of people are speaking on behalf of their sex, right? So because this computer sciencey girl is interested in computer science, and the other one who's got involved in engineering, neither of whom, well, one suggested that there is something of a glass ceiling. I didn't know about computer science. So how did you find out about computer science if it isn't being introduced to people? We have the internet. Come on. Please stop being disingenuous. 9-year-olds know what engineering is. They've seen bridges, right? In the United Kingdom, there are works of engineering that have been accomplished by women. Women without the internet knew what engineering was. A woman invented what we know of as software. And why did she invent software? Well, it's this sexist, patriarchal system actually decided to ask her to solve problems because nobody else was applicable. They asked her, thought, oh, well, she's there, let's ask her to do it. And she invented software. Software which does ease people's lives. It's kind of boring, kind of time consuming to write code and not have any means to record it, to use sort of mechanics for computing. Very, very time consuming. In working practice, I'll get back to what I was going to talk about. There seems to be a tendency when it comes to working practices. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not calling one sex lazy, but it comes down to priorities and tendencies. Women tend to find jobs that their working practice tend to be convenient, and for convenience, they're far more likely to take part-time work. And part-time work, let's describe what part-time work means. Part-time work means more days off. Engineering is a very hard subject. I didn't study engineering or science because they seem too difficult for me. Even though they possibly wouldn't be. But the system, the system's a bastard. And it leads you to believe it's too difficult for you. It makes you think you're less intelligent than you are. And of course, this is far worse for women. Because everyone thinks that women are stupid, right? Engineering, you have to look at the people. So women will work part-time more often. As a rule, they will not ask for promotion, because that promotion means more responsibilities. And I'm not calling them lazy. I'm really not even presupposing that. But more responsibilities is more work. And you want something you can get out of easy, right? And actually, I'm going to say very clearly that this tendency to choose to work at just the correct amount of hours is actually a sensible option. Much of the development of, you say, there's social media, the internet has actually had. Firstly, it's had a lot of first-hand, behind-the-scenes involvement of women. Here's an example. One of the browsers I'm using, Firefox, is largely based upon Netscape Navigator, and one of the programmers was one of the enlightened women who actually was working in one of the more taxing fields of taxing areas of software development. And they created one of the first user-friendly internet browsers. So the patriarchy can only stretch so far. Its infinite powers are only seemingly infinite. And this person, or it could be, no, this is just a hypothesis. This is just a presupposition. But a minority of now programmers, software programmers, come on, are a minority amongst people. And I'm not saying that most software programmers have aspects or full-blown autism, but I would say there's a larger than average number of programmers have autism, as do engineers. Because it's kind of weird being interested in pipes and floor layouts, right? It's just, maybe it's just me. Maybe that they see beauty in engineering, right? Well, that is also quite an autistic aspect, right? So a minority of people are studying engineering and science, and a smaller minority are female. So the majority male, studying the four areas of academia where women don't dominate or aren't the large majority, or in no areas of academia apart from the STEM fields are they the minority. They're the majority. In some cases, the significant majority. When it comes to areas that you would traditionally think are archaeology in some countries is not only dominated, predominantly female. So social media has opened women's eyes to archaeology. We all have those sort of fun History Channel documentaries, and so they found out about archaeology. But it's very strange that people haven't found out about engineering. That's so strange. You need these young women to show women, and only women, because only women have their eyes blocked and their ears plugged to the existence of science and technology. No, the arguments don't add up. I had a conversation with somebody on this subject. So conversation, you find out their politics very quickly. They get triggered. They get triggered if you suggest that, well, people tend to study what they want. How about this? The small minority of women and the small minority of the larger but still it's a minority. It's a minority within any populace, right? If we told people every single day what engineering and science is, there'd be more engineers, because people are I don't know. People may forget what engineering and science is. The thing is, the fact they aren't educating the very young, aren't educating boys on the benefits, what an interesting field engineering is. Could it be that they maybe would like them to be fewer? Because there are only so many places in an engineering mathematics class, right? They want 50-50, right? So there'd be fewer boys knowing about it. But as long as more girls know about the science and engineering, that's fine. So, yeah. So I think I'm willing to do some research, and I think, as any good study, the results are known beforehand. I'm going to look at areas of academia like in community colleges, like flower arranging. Now, isn't it terrible that young men are not introduced to the art and craft of flower arranging, and a very important skill, a very important life skill? They're not introduced to knitting. I feel at the bottom of my stomach disgust that these areas of academia are not equal. So in the space of this video series, where I point out maybe I'll change my opinion that actually there is a systematic oppression, and that it isn't based upon women's natural inclinations not to be interested in science and engineering and mathematics. Mathematics, everyone is interested in mathematics. It's interesting, right? Number puzzles, everyone needs mathematics. It's good for everything. I use it every single day. I'm willing to bet that my hypothesis that actually it doesn't fucking matter at all. And they are carrying on a trend for wanting to seem like feminists. And I didn't plan to create any anti-feminist videos. But, well, you can only hold it in so much. There are probably thousands of examples of this idiocy in this subject. Of course, computers are easy, right? Everyone can learn how to program. Just need a computer. That's all you need. You know, that concentration, that sort of interest in what is a cold subject. Everybody has it deep down, right? No. These people are fucking human garbage.